It's just such a soothing experience when you have that. I'm very grateful for my partner because it's just very just nice, and it's like it doesn't make being nice feel like a chore.
We should be nice to each other.
Yeah, it's so simple. But yeah, so we'll talk about that.
It's so difficult too. Welcome to LA.
Thank you for having me. We did it in London last time, right?
We did it in London last time.
London last time.
But you live in Dubai.
I live in Dubai, but London was our middle ground.
Yeah. We
did
negotiated for London.
And then now we're in LA.
How do you like LA?
I like LA. I really, really like LA. The only problem is I'm always working when I'm here, so I don't get to experience LA the way the average person would. But it's a really cool city. My only problem is once you move to Dubai, you get so used to safety and you get so used to convenience that everywhere else feels a little bit difficult. But it's a great city.
Now, I get the impression that you're a therapist. You help people with their relationships and things like that.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like you cater more to the top 1% of people in the, I guess you would call it the sexual marketplace.
Yes. The top earners, the most beautiful women. Absolutely. And
okay.
I make no qualms about it. When people try and come for me in comments and saying, oh, you're always talking about the top 1%, somebody has to talk about them. If it doesn't apply to you, you can easily find a therapist or you can find content creators that do talk about the average person. Unfortunately, because of my environment, I live in Dubai, and because of the thing is, being a therapist, you only access people with disposable income. I'm not on the NHS, I'm not on government funding, I'm private, so therefore I'll only access people who have the luxury of talking to someone and paying for that service.
And another criticism that I see in your videos is you're not a professional.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've tried so hard. No other therapist online will have to release their data to everybody. I've even put my qualifications online. Luckily, because Dubai, in order to work in Dubai, they have to police check your qualifications. I've even put the police check on there to show that it's actually legit. But the problem is when women particularly, and it's some very sensitive men, when they're triggered by your information, because they don't have the intelligence to argue and they don't have the experience to have a counter argument, the only thing they can resort to is suggesting that you're not qualified. But it's their go-to argument. But the evidence is all on my website. And what I would say, even if I wasn't,
I see that with Orion as well on my channel.
But here's what I would say: even if somebody's not qualified, the internet is a place for opinions. You don't have to take it on board. It's not like no one's prescribing you a drug. So if you don't believe it, you don't have to believe it. But if you don't believe it, you can scroll on. But it's their way of trying to diminish the truth that you're holding up against them. So whenever I'm saying something that triggers them, they feel like the way to diminish the pain of that trigger is to suggest that it's not coming from a qualified place.
Where did you go to school?
I went to school in London, and I went to UCL, which is in London, University of College of London, and I went to Royal Holloway, and then I also did my master's, and then I went to, I did my teacher training, which is a QTS, we call it in London. After that, I became into psychotherapy. I started focusing on psychotherapy, and then that's where I am today.
And then we can put that to sleep, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. But the master's, the degree, the master's, diplomas, the QTS is all on there, but they still...
Well, haters love to hate.
They do.
I mean, I think I've come to the conclusion now that some people are just, they're happier being unhappy.
Yeah, they enjoy it. And they look for people that trigger them. If somebody triggers me, I try not to avoid their content, but I will find the same trolls on all of my videos. And they will comment on something I said in 47 minutes in. So I'm like, you spent 47 minutes watching somebody that you genuinely hate. And so they like it or love it. I can't spend time watching somebody I hate. So they're so fascinated by the information, but at the same time, they go in with a negative mindset. So you've got to feel sorry for them in some way. Can you imagine trying to torture yourself watching somebody you hate?
A friend of mine told me this yesterday. He said that you realize the people that hate you the most love you the most. They are actually your biggest fans.
Absolutely.
And if you actually interacted with them, they would flip in a...
Yeah, and they know your content more than anybody else. It's like they can tell you everything about you because they spend so much time studying you. They literally know your friends, they know how old you are, they know where you went to school, they'll know who you've worked with. They are dedicated to being obsessed with you. So you've got to worry about their own mental health. I can't imagine.
It's interesting that they continue to watch if they hate it so much. I remember when I was a kid, there was a television show called The Love Boat. Terrible TV show, just absolutely terrible. I didn't write a letter better to the network. I didn't complain to whoever I could complain. I just made sure I never watched it again.
It's that simple. And especially with podcasts, it's such a long process and it's not entertaining enough to sit there and just have it in the background. So the fact that you go out of your way to watch a particular person continuously to do that is, I don't know if it's a slight pseudo obsession or what it is, but it comes with the territory. But what I would say, what I found with myself, which I find so fascinating, I sometimes see people literally verbatim copy my content, and people will respond quite positively to the other person saying the exact same thing. It's when I say, I think I've become associated with kind of controversy. So the moment I say it, it just ignites a lot of anger in the people that have a pre-existing.
I'd like to thank BetterHelp for being a sponsor of today's video. I think a lot of my viewers are going through things, just like we all are, whether you're a viewer or not of this.
Are you a successful man who has achieved endless heights in his career? Are you somebody who's absolutely made it in his professional life, but his personal life just doesn't seem to match up? Are you somebody who goes through intense highs in business, but intense lows in your personal relationships? You might be somebody who has been blocking out relationships or entering relationships where you don't feel appreciated, or it's lacking the sexual or emotional intimacy that you require. If this sounds like you, then I have a program specifically catered to your needs. I've been helping high-end clients for a really long time, and I'm able to identify the exact problems, the exact causes, and the exact solutions. So if this sounds like you, then please feel free to register below your details,
or click on the link in the video description box below. Thank you for watching, and now back to the video.
A lot of what you say, and Orion Taraban, who I've also interviewed, a lot of what you guys say is triggering.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's almost as if you're a very attractive female and you're giving almost a red pill-ish perspective on relationships.
Well, I feel like I'm relatively neutral. It comes across a bit red pill, but then there's other times where I'll say something in the red pill community be like, oh, she's not one of us and she's a feminist. So it's all it basically is when you look at human behavior all day, every day, you can explain it without emotion. It's a bit like a doctor will tell you, you've been eating too much sugar and this is what it is. They're not saying it as an insult. They're saying it as an observation. So the reason why myself and Orion probably come across very triggering is we are only relaying what we see. We're not making this up. We're not trying to hurt anybody. This is a continuous pattern we've observed in our real experience working with real clients.
I would say both you and Orion are highly intelligent.
Yeah.
But he has insights into things, and he just tells it how it is. And
I would
it's so
honestly
hard for
say
people to
it's
swallow.
probably because, and I really respect Orion, and I respect James's opinion, because
Sexton.
what they do in their spare time is they're on the ground. Like myself, we're working with clients all day, every day. If you're watching a content creator and in their spare time they're just selling a course online, or in their spare time they're a reality TV star, or in their spare time they've just got a bunch of businesses, their advice can be, with a pinch of salt. But when you know that person is all day, every day working with people, and as a result has this insight, it might sound extreme, but they're on the ground, and that's why it's triggering you. But they're not trying to trigger you. This is what they observe. So
But you spend most of your time with clients?
All day, every day. Yeah, that's primarily all I do. A couple of hours a day, every single day I'll be doing that. Podcast is a very tiny proportion of my work. My work is literally on the ground, speaking to men and women every single day.
What would you say is your core philosophy of maintaining and finding healthy relationships?
I would say is figuring out your partner's true needs and making sure that can you actually abide by those needs. And if you can't, it's better not to go ahead. And what I mean by that is I've become a bit jaded. I'll be honest, I've become a little bit jaded. But what I realized is how many people just don't communicate their true needs, have a relationship, and then just live a double life on the side or get their needs met somewhere else. Understanding your partner's actual needs and signing up to their true needs, not what you want them to be. And what I mean by that is if you have a wife who's very clingy and she wants a lot of emotional reassurance and you refuse to give her that and you just don't want to give her that, staying in a relationship like that is like a slow suicide. You're just not meeting her needs, she's not meeting, and you're just staying together until you both move on. Similarly, if you have a partner, and a male partner, and I notice this a lot, they have a need for physical touch far more than they say. And if you're not willing to meet that, I know a lot of women who will go months and years without touching their husband. If you're not willing to meet that core need, don't be shocked if your partner starts meeting it elsewhere. it. And I know that sounds terrible, but if you're not going to meet your partner's needs, unfortunately, they will get them met from somebody. So it's better to just be real with each other, what these needs are, have that communication, and be sure that you're signing the same contract when you enter the marriage.
Do you ever see people, your clients, who actually make a change and improve the situation in their lives?
If I'm being honest, it's rare. The better thing that they can do is be honest with themselves about what their true needs are and find a compatible partner. Changing can happen, but it usually takes a crisis. And by the time they've had that existential crisis, let's say, for example, somebody has a sex addiction and they only change when their wife's discovered all the pornography or the escorts and everything, it's almost like the damage is so severe that it's quite hard. Even if the person's changing, their partner's still punishing them for the old person they were. So I would say that the better thing to do is, instead of expecting a complete 180 change, pick people compatible in the beginning stages, and you'll save yourself a lot of trauma. And then you're just figuring out little tweaks like how to communicate correctly or how to resolve a few arguments. But if your relationship requires this person to become a different human being in order for it to survive, it's not going to survive.
Is love something that we can analyze and figure out so that we can make it work in our lives, or is it just something mysterious and magical that we either get lucky with or we don't?
I think
because sometimes it seems like it's just like
I think
in
we
the cards.
confuse love and attraction. I think attraction is a bit more mystical, and you can't always pinpoint what a person can do. Sometimes I'll have clients and they just say, I'm not attracted to him or I'm not attracted to her, and they can't tell you why. They know aesthetically they're tall, dark, handsome, or they're a curvy young girl or whatever it is, and they just can't tell you why the attraction's not there. I think attraction is a bit more mystical, and you can't quite define and work on that. But love is definitely a skill that you can work on. And the main thing to do when you're working on love is remove all ego. If you really want to create love, you have to make sure you remove your ego is not making your decisions for you. So if you're a man choosing a woman purely because she provides you an ego boost, or if you're being mean to your partner simply because it gives you an ego boost knowing that your partner's still going to chase after you, if you have that as a form of love, it's not really love. It's you are using somebody to boost your low self-esteem. But if you really want to make love work, you remove the ego, you figure out what the person's needs are, and you ask yourself the honest question, am I willing to meet this person's needs? Does it make me happy meeting their needs? If it feels so tough and so difficult, you're better off not trying, because you're just going to make that person feel like a burden in your life. But if it makes you feel good meeting your partner's needs, you actually feel great when your partner says, oh, I love that, you give me a massage, it makes me feel so good. And you're like, oh my God, I love doing things that make you happy. Then you can create love and you can build love on that. It's just taking happiness from making each other happy.
How do you advise couples who, like, if they want to improve communication in their relationship, especially when they're going through like a difficult time?
Yeah. The main thing is people who have trouble with communicating, what it really is they have trouble being honest with themselves. They don't know what they're trying to say, and they're just usually either trying to attack or avoid conflict. So they go into extremes. They're either somebody who just avoids complete conflict and will suppress what they're thinking and feeling just to keep the peace. So they might be a man that hasn't had sex with his wife in years and hasn't even said anything about it because he doesn't want to come across as a predator, but then will do something very extreme behind her back. Or it might be a woman who just doesn't want to rock the boat, doesn't want to tell him too much because she knows that he's going to fly off the handle. So they suppress what they want just to keep the peace, and as a result there's no communication. The relationship might last a really long time, but it will lack intimacy. Or they're the other type where they take any opportunity to go for a high level attack to their partner. Every time there's a fight or disagreement, they can never stay on the topic. Instead, they use those as opportunities to abuse their partner about all of the criticisms they've been holding on to for a really long time. So the balance is, when you're getting into a relationship, start with what when you're getting into conflict, start with what you're feeling, like, well, I'm feeling unloved, or I'm feeling angry, or I'm feeling upset. Explain exactly what you're upset about, but then give your partner the solution. I would really appreciate it if you did X, Y, Z, or it would mean a lot to me if you would stop doing X, Y, and Z, rather than you're this, you're that, and they're just screaming and shouting. So giving your partner the solutions. A lot of people feel like if they have to explain to their partner how to love them, then they're not the compatible partner. But with everybody in life, you have to communicate how you like to be loved. They need to learn it from you.
But you almost need like an hourly session a week, every week or so, every month at least,
Yeah.
to explain what you're honestly feeling.
Yeah. Hi guys, welcome back to my Patreon, where every single week you can tune in and get exclusive content. Not only that, but you can also message me anytime and receive a response within 20